Hello everyone, this is Hans Ugren and we're here for episode 6 of the Viking series for White Wellbeing. Hope you're all ready as well, that your ears are sharpened and that you're sitting comfortably, and let's get into it. First and foremost, I'm going to mention 3 books: the Hamskringla, which is the Chronicles of Kings, the Flateyar book, and the Fagerskina, which translates to the Flattened book in case of the Flateyar book, and Fair Leather in regards to the Fagerskina book. That is perhaps worth looking into for those who are interested, and it is also where I derive some of the material that I look into from. So, who am I going to go on about this time around? I was thinking Halfdan the Black Gudrodsson. In the former episodes, we have been going over the events in both Francia, Saxony, Frisia, and Denmark, along with small parts of Slavic territories at the time. Now we head to Norveger, or in the English tongue known as Norway. Now, before we delve into the matter, please beware that these sources are written centuries after the events, thus meeting with later century bias, confusion, or even mere assumption of the writers, be that intent well meant or malefic. That is for us to decide as we read. The reason why I bring it up is, be careful if you look into historical documents as such, so you are not misled. So in fact let us put it like this: what you learn out of this, that is what is important, what helps you on your path, which is the purpose of looking into history as I would see it. By what I have garnered for episode 6 is that we are now meeting the second Scandinavian dynasty, which means royal line or king's line, if you will, family ties. The Yngling dynasty, named after Yngvi Freyr, a mythical ancestor god. On the deities in particular, I shall make separate episodes that will be for days to come, but I'm not going to go into that right now. So, the endeavors of Halfdan the Black. Where does the nickname come from to begin with? Apparently it was due to his uncommonly dark hair. That may hint at the fair features of the Norwegians of the time, and let no anti-white tell you he was non-white. That would be a blatant lie. He was still of Norwegian, that means European full-blooded stock. Halfdan was only 1 year old when his father Gudrod passed on. He reclaimed his inheritance in a place named Agder at the age of 18. It was not long after that he moved further to an area called Westfold and divided his realm with his brother Olaf. These events seem to go largely uncontested. Curious how the people were agreeable to this upstart at such a young age. However, after the divisions between himself and his brother in regards to land is where the peace ends. He mustered an army not long after, and he marched to wage war on King Gandalf of Vingulmork. This campaign was a difficult one. Many battles, many skirmishes were waged, and for a while there it seemed like there was going to be not much give or take. A stalemate was met. However, by luck, perhaps, or maybe a fortunate maneuver, King Gandalf was pushed back, and half of Vingulmark was now in control of Halfdan. You would think that in and of itself would say how shall one call it? You'd think that would mean that he can now settle down, expand on his little increased amount of kingdom, let's just call it that, and prepare for the next blow with King Gandalf. But it is not as easy as that, for there are other kings in Norway at the time. Kings who do not like it so much when one of their rivals is encroaching upon other territories. And one such another king was Sigtrygg of Hedmark. King Sigtrygg unfortunately died during a retreating maneuver. As it is written down, he was struck by an arrow under the left arm, which freely translates to that he was struck in the heart by an arrow. As a consequence of that, Halfdan now saw a proper opportunity to take Romarike. However, Sigtrygg also had a brother, King Eystein now, who reclaimed his lost terrain. As one can surmise, the 9th century was quite lively with many competing kings. But this claim by King Eystein only motivated Halfdan to return. In several successive battles, both sides losing many men, among which in particular, and I wanted to leave room for this figure, a man called Halfdan the Gudrodsson, who is described as the finest among men, had fallen and had brought much grief. Not long after, a conclusion of that campaign was met, and sure enough, King Halfdan overcame King Eystein. And now it was not only Romarike, but also half of Hedmark that was under his dominion. By merit of territories, Halfdan was now quite a mighty king. Halfdan's life was not only victory after victory, however. He went to an area called Søgen, and there he married Ragnhild Haraldottir, that is to say, daughter of Harald Gulskjegg, which means golden beard, the king of Søgen. Ragnhild gave a child to Halfdan, a son that was now named Harald also, perhaps after his father-in-law, and was left in Harald Gulskjegg's care. But how tender life could be. Gulskjegg, as well as his daughter, as well as the young boy, died all within the same year. For a man to lose his family like that, you would think that he would be crushed, that his soul would be crushed, completely heartbroken, and the fight would be taken out of him. But not Halfdan. He promptly took control of the realm of Søgen and left the man, the Jarl, Atle Mjøv, which means the Slender, to rule over it in his absence. In the meantime, the sons of King Gandalf were, what you might say, tired of having this invader in their territory, and they took up the axe and the sword again. The three sons of King Gandalf, which are Hising, Helsing, and also Hake, fought a campaign. But it is not long after that Hising and Helsing both fell in battle, and the last son of Gandalf that is known had to flee to a realm called Alfheim, and we won't be hearing of him anymore at this point in time. Now the entirety of Vingulmark was in King Halfdan's hands. Halfdan's control over vast parts of Norway were immense. At least, what you might say, immense for those times. There was, however, still the issue of securing his lineage. He would have to find another wife with whom to beget children. And during one celebration, where his men were all gathered in the hall, they sat around the tables, ate of the finest meat, they drank beer, meat perhaps. And in that moment, Halfdan beckoned a man that goes by the name of Halindir. He pulled Halindir in, and over the entire din of all the chatter and the clinking of tankards, the sound of wood being devoured by the fire, he whispered in this man's ears and asked that Halindir would kidnap him his next wife, the daughter of King Sigurd Jord of Hadeland. Halindir was an experienced fighter, probably. Might have actually been part of many of these campaigns, and he felt up for the task. He nodded to Halfdan, got up, left the hall with any man that was under his own control, under his own command. What is perhaps worth mentioning is that Sigurd Jord had died during Halindir's travels. There was a man called Hake who had slain Sigurd Jord and preemptively kidnapped Sigurd's daughter and son. Maybe there is an honorable mention required that Sigurd Jord is known to have slain 12 of Hake's 30 men, as well as claiming one of Hake's hands before he fell. So Sigurd Jord was definitely a fighting man. What can one say? As this Hake took Sigurd's children with him, held them in one of his farms, Halindir caught wind of this and besieged this farm. I suppose that stereotypes throughout history happens once in a while, because the next description speaks of how Halindir ordered his men to slay all they saw, kidnap the daughter, and while at it, why not also kidnap the son of Sigurd Jord, and then leave the place completely aflame. Hake, the one-handed, let's call him at this point in time, gave hot pursuit, but as it is written down, the man gave up, and as one does apparently, he threw himself on his own sword. One can only surmise what his plans were. Sigurd's daughter is also called Ragnhildur, just as Harald Gulshek's daughter, of course. But Ragnhildur, Sigurd's daughter, gave a son to Halfdan as well, who was also to be named Harald, like his first son. With his lineage now secured, Halfdan focused on statesmanship, if you will. And his focus was on passing out laws. Fair laws, of course, as it is written in the in the book, in the Chronicles of Kings. Let us just say that it probably helps that the writers of this part might have had a vested interest in sharing the praise of kings to the masses. Then, in the sources, the story of King Halfdan ends abruptly. He drowned in a lake called Rand by falling through the ice. It was end of winter and he had miscalculated the strength, I suppose. According to the Hamskringla itself, he was at the age of 40 when it happened. I would like to add that the number 40 in Christian writing tends to have a certain meaning behind it. As far as I understand, it heralds an important event. So I leave it up to you to decide for yourself or to look further into it. Did Halfdan actually die at the age of 40, or is this the way of the writer to say that it was an important event that he died? Maybe not so much in the way it happened. It's all up to you to decide, or to look into it as you see fit. And as the last bit, I can share that his body, or perhaps only his head, was buried in Halfdan's Haugen in the Ringerike. That is episode number 6 on the Viking series for White Wellbeing in regards to Halfdan the Black Gudrodsson. I have left some imagery which will hopefully explain a bit further, or perhaps map out a bit the connection of all of these people. I hope it was interesting for you all, and till the next one. Bye bye.